ready, sir? Okay.
ఎన్ని క్వశ్చన్స్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయాలి సార్?
ఇవాళ ఒకసారి చూడండి సార్, అంటే మీరు ఎట్లా అన్నా చూడండి, మన రోజులో ప్లాన్ చేసామంటే పెద్ద మనకు ఆతృత ఏం అవసరం లేదు, వాళ్ళకి నీట్గా
టూ క్వశ్చన్స్ చాలా. అది వేసుకోవాలా సార్, అవసరం? ఓకే. Hello students, welcome to Epitome IAS. In this video, in this class we are going to discuss about UPSC questions, mains questions, particularly General Studies paper 2. And students find it is very difficult to conceptualize how to understand the question, conceptualize the question, or how to generate points when the questions are given, right? And primarily why students generally suffer, why students generally struggle to understand the question or to write the relevant points for the question, primarily due to lack of content, lack of clear understanding of the question. Okay, primarily at the first you need to understand the demand of the question and you need to generate the points accordingly. For that reason, you must logically understand the question, number one. Number two, you must organize your content to suit the demand of the question. Okay, so these are the questions which are extracted from General Studies paper 2 2025 mains examination UPSC. Okay, so this is a series of videos for the student community so that they can understand the demand of the examination and they can make their preparation accordingly. Okay, right. So look at this question. Civil society organizations are perceived as being anti-state actors than non-state actors. Do you agree and justify? Okay, so here I am not just going to explain the question itself. I try to explain the concept behind the question first. Okay, right. First, look at this demand of the question. Civil society organizations are perceived as being anti-state actors. So in order to write this answer, the students must know certain basic things. Okay, first of all, what is civil society organizations, and what is the meaning of anti-state actors, what is the meaning of non-state actors? These are the three important terms we need to understand first. Okay, so I think you know the basic what is that the basics of writing answer. First of all, any answer will be having introduction, body and conclusion. So there are three parts in the question, right? So introduction can be begin with a keyword, that means definition of keyword or context. Okay, so with that you can actually begin, right? So usually the introduction will be between 15% to, okay, or approximately 15% of the answer must be devoted to introduction, and rest of the 15% is for conclusion, and body of the answer constitutes 70% of the answer, right? This is how you need to actually organize the answer, right? So in this particular question, let us understand every keyword here first of all, then you will understand the demand of the question, okay, right? So first of all, we need to understand what is civil society, okay. So this question is from governance portion, okay, governance syllabus, right? Civil society means what, okay? Civil society means it is a network of organizations, groups, agencies which do not belong to government, okay, and they act as interface between people, that is society and government, right? This is what civil society, okay. It is a loose network actually, it is not a consolidated term, actually it is a loose network of organizations, groups and agencies which do not belong to government and they act as interface between society and government, okay. In fact, any country, any republican country, okay, is expected to have a strong civil society, okay. Why strong civil society will be there in any republican country? Because generally republic means that promotes sovereignty of people. So despite the government is elected, it is not the monopoly of the public interest. End of the day, the people must be able to decide what the government has to do, right? What are the responsibilities of the government? What are the, what must be the focus of the government? What are the new areas where government has to shift its policy focus? Those issues can be highlighted by means of civil society, because people organize into various pressure groups, various NGOs, community-based organizations, charity-based organizations. Like that, people organize in the form of various agencies, right? We can say here, civil society will be having different forms, like for example, NGOs, community-based organizations, okay, cooperatives, okay, like you can also find societies. Like this, there are various forms of civil societies, okay, research agencies, okay, research bodies, independent research, okay. Like this, there are various civil society organizations, right? So this is what the essence of the question. See, civil society organizations perceived as being anti-state actors. First of all, you need to know what are civil society, okay. You don't require to write too many points. You need to write very essential components that are related to the civil society. Then what else you need to understand is, they are perceived as being anti-state actors rather than non-state actors. So you need to understand the difference between anti-state actor and non-state actor, right? What is anti-state actor? What is anti-state actor? Anti-state means the civil society instead of being committed to constitutional values and nationalistic values, okay, they try to weaken Indian state, thus promoting interests against the people of the country. So this kind of aspect is called as non-state actor. Okay. In fact, the civil society, instead of promoting development of people, instead of promoting strengthening the unity and integrity of the nation, development, unity and integrity, economic growth, promotion of welfare of the people. Okay, right. Instead of promoting all these things, they try to act against the interest of the country, or they promote inimical interests against the state. Right. So that is what called as anti-state actor. Right. So we can see different organizations which are alleged to have participated against the activities, against the interests of the Indian state. For example, in 2015, Intelligence Bureau has given a report. Okay, so you can write this kind of reports in the examination, right? In 2015, IB report said that almost all because of the NGOs, certain NGOs, there is a loss of 2% of GDP, loss approximately 2% of the GDP. So it means certain NGOs, they are trying to promote movements, public protests, okay, and unrest, filing frivolous public interest litigations. Like this, because of these activities, they are delaying the mining, industrial development, and infrastructure development, etc. Right. So that is what indicated that was actually revealed by Intelligence Bureau's report, right? And even government has strengthened this FCRA, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. The accusation of the government is that particularly there are certain countries, they are funding the NGOs to act against the Indian interests. So they are using funding as a route. Hence, the government has strengthened FCRA. So FCRA means Foreign Contribution Regulating Act. Okay. So this act strengthens the government controls over the funding to the NGOs, particularly foreign funding NGOs. They are required to take licenses, and their licenses will be having validity only for 5 years. Every time they are required to renewal of the license. They are required to renew the license. And not only that, they need to open a dedicated bank account. Okay, they need to limit the administrative expenditure out of the funds they receive. If any person faces the allegations or accusation of anti-national activities, he shall not have NGO on his name. If the NGO is there, that license will be cancelled. Like that, a lot of stringent rules have been brought. Okay, that is different thing. Okay, so there are certain NGOs, for example, Greenpeace India, like it has promoted public movements against mining and industrial development. Similarly, Human Rights Watch, this has promoted anti-national sentiments in Jammu and Kashmir. Actually, the Jammu and Kashmir story has been portrayed as India is suppressing the public movements. Okay, so they try to give a negative image to the country. So that was taken very serious by the government, right? And moreover, Amnesty International. Okay, so in the name of human rights, it has tried to promote interests against the nation, like sympathizing the terrorists and other various reasons. For example, when terrorists were hanged, the Amnesty International comes and condemned it. So these are particularly going against the sovereignty of the country. So That's why government try to impose strict regulations under the FCRA. Particularly even Ford Foundation has come under the criticism, because Ford Foundation along with the Sabrang Trust, so they are trying to promote the suspicion over the government with respect to the communal aspects or some religious tensions. These are being highlighted by these agencies, right? And so even Indira Jaisingh's lawyers collective, okay, it is also portrayed as anti-national. And Sabrang Trust, it belongs to Teesta Setalwad, okay. Like this, there are various NGOs which have faced the allegation that they were promoting interests against the country, okay, right. In this context, these are called as non-state actors, right. So look at this question. So civil society organizations are perceived to be anti-state actors, okay. Then however all the civil society organizations are not anti-state. There are certain civil society organizations which are actually in favor of the state, and they are promoting the development of the country. They are functioning, they are working very, very constructively. So we do not require to agree that every civil society organization is anti-state. So then after presenting this idea, okay, that what is anti-state actor, and what are the NGOs which are considered to be anti-state, various examples. After writing these examples, you would further specify not all civil society organizations are anti-state, okay. Rather there are certain organizations which help in promotion of public interest and function within the framework of constitution, right. So this is how you need to change the dimension, okay. Earlier you have presented the idea, you have agreed with the examiner, okay, but in the second part of the question you would explain the point that not all the civil society organizations are anti-state, and indeed they are functioning within the framework of the constitution, right. So yes, our constitution has permitted the freedom of free speech and expression, right. They function within the framework of the constitution means, for example, they are established under Article 19 Class 1 Subclass C. They are able to express their opinions freely and fearlessly. So like this you can present the answer, okay, right. Then we need to give the examples, okay, which NGOs are actually promoting interest of the country, okay. So particularly the civil society organization's role became very much prominent after LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization, okay. So after this, actually the state has reduced its role, state has reduced its size, okay, and state tries to become facilitator, okay. It tries to collaborate with civil society, okay, and as well as market. So this is all called as governance paradigm. Okay, so we can write this point in the context of the governance paradigm. The civil society is also playing very constructive role, okay, right. Then how do you see the constructive role, okay? So it means civil society is actually promoting various constructive activities in the country, right? For example, they conduct policy research which benefit government and people. Example, Center for Science and Environment, okay, Down to Earth magazine, okay. So this will promote the scientific research into the area of environment, so that because India is very much vulnerable to the environmental disasters and degradation, so that's why these kind of NGOs are filling the gap with respect to the research, okay. The area of research is very much weak in the country, so that is being complemented by NGOs or civil society organizations like CSE, okay. Similarly, you take India against corruption. India against corruption. Okay, this has promoted political reform by demanding Jan Lokpal bill. Later it was enacted as Lokpal and Lokayukt Act of 2013. Okay, like, and there are NGOs working in the area of innovation and change. Okay, for example, you take Akshay Patra Foundation, which has developed a stronger logistics, very wider logistics for the preparation of the food for midday meal scheme and distribution among the poor people. Okay, and NGOs promoting transparency and accountability like Mazdoor Kisan Sashaktikarana Sangathan, MKSS, right? And similarly, we can find different other organizations working in various areas. For example, you take education reforms like Pradham Foundation. Even Pradham Foundation reports revelations are taken serious by the government. So even Economic Survey mentions the revelations of the Pradham Foundation. Okay, promotion of women employment. Example, Seva, Self-Employed Women Association. Okay, promoting, strengthening democracy. ADR, Association for Democratic Reforms. Okay, so like this, there are many NGOs like Children Rights, CRY, Child Rights and You. Okay, so they promote innovative campaignings, innovative policies, and they try to reach out the most vulnerable sections where the state has very difficult to reach. Okay, wherever the neglected areas are there, you can find the activities of these kind of NGOs. For example, you take Goons, okay, in Odisha with respect to the disaster management. That's why civil society is not necessarily anti-state, they are actually non-state actors promoting the overall development of the country in various dimensions. Okay, and the activities of the civil society activities are actually complementing the government's changed policy, that is minimum government, maximum governance, giving more liberty to the individuals as well as human associations, civil society associations, in providing the fruits of the development to be reaching to the most vulnerable sections. Right? This is how we have developed the answer. You just understand? So we have addressed all the areas, right? Okay. So first of all, question is, what is civil society? We have explained what is civil society, right? Then they are perceived to be anti-state actors. We have agreed for time being, right? By unfolding the meaning of anti-state actors. At the same time, we also presented the central government report, particularly IB's report, and later we have presented various examples. You can also write another example here: medicines sans borders, sans frontiers. So this is also a prohibited NGO, banned NGO, because it tried to promote the separatism in the northeastern areas. In the name of in the name of humanitarian aid, they are actually supporting the infiltrators or separatists. That is also being criticized here. Right. Then not all the civil society are anti-state actors. We have explained that point. Thereafter, we have explained what is the constructive role the civil society organizations actually play. Okay. Then in the conclusion, we need to write the summary of the discussion. Okay. What do you write? We can write that though certain NGOs, certain civil society organizations were found to be inimical to the interest of the Indian state. It means they try to show Indian state is a failed state. Okay, inimical to the interest of the Indian state. However, there are scores of NGOs which are playing constructive role, gap filling role, and reaching out to most vulnerables by utilizing the space provided by government under minimum government and maximum governance. So this is how you can write some conclusion. So conclusion is required to be written as per the answer you have developed. Okay, so you can understand what should be the conclusion logically when you already presented the body of the answer. That is quite logical and consequential. You don't require to bother much about the conclusion, because the momentum that is generated by writing body of the answer, that will also help you in writing conclusion, right? So the purpose of this particular session is that student must be able to understand the demand of the question. Number two, how the student should give attention to various components of the question, and how the student has to integrate various ideas into the broader theme of the question, broader theme of the answer. That is what the purpose of this session. Okay, we will be continuing these sessions on few days of the given week, so that the student community can be maximally benefited. Okay, right. Next, let us look at another question of 2025 mains paper, general studies paper 2. Right. The question is, Attorney General of India plays a crucial role in guiding the legal framework of the Union, ensuring sound governance through legal counsel. Right. Discuss the responsibilities and limitations of Attorney General on this regard. Right. Students, I really want to tell you this fact. In fact, answer writing practice must be well integrated in the classroom teaching itself. It is the teacher's responsibility to provide a broader theme of UPSC's mindset. Okay, how the questions can be possible, what are the areas of the questioning, that idea must be inculcated within the classroom itself, right? So that's why taking the right coaching is very, very important for the UPSC. Particularly our classes, even the Epitome IAS will provide you online classes, online videos for any given subject, and you can also inquire about the courses available at this institute, so that within the same course there is an inbuilt method to guide the students how to write answers, because the very content of the classes would give you the guidance to address the demand of any given question in the examination. Okay, right. We have already explained all these dimensions in our classes. Okay, it is not at all a surprise for the students who have attended our classes. Okay, right. So Attorney General of India plays a crucial role in guiding legal framework. First of all, yes, who is Attorney General? First of all, we need to understand, we need to write introduction. Okay, regarding this particular question. Attorney General of India plays crucial role in guiding legal framework of the Union, ensuring sound governance through legal counsel, right? So you can explain, you can write about Attorney General, right? So Attorney General is part of executive, part of Union executive under Article 76 of the Constitution. Okay, so he is part of the executive and appointed under Article 76 of the Constitution, and he helps the executive with his legal expertise and the extensive knowledge in the field of law. Okay, right. This is how you will present the introduction. Okay, right. So Attorney General is part of Union Executive and appointed under Article 76 of the Constitution, and he helps the executive with his legal expertise and the extensive knowledge in the field of law, right? So how does he guide the legal framework of the Union? Okay, so we need to understand this dimension. Okay, so in the body of the answer, he guides legal framework of the Union with his legal counsel. Okay, right. But one thing we need to understand, why Attorney General office is important, right? It is important because, first of all, importance of Attorney General. Why he is important? Because whatever the government does, it means whether with respect to proposal of bills, we can say bills, government orders, notifications, etc. all these required to be constitutional. Okay, right? So government may not know by itself what is the implication, constitutional implication of these particular aspects, whether it could be legislative aspects or executive tools, whatever it is there, they do not know the constitutional implications, right? If they are unconstitutional, if they are violating the fundamental rights of the people, anyway, who will be, striking it down? The judiciary under Article 13 Class 2 of the Constitution, right? So they will be declared to be unconstitutional, right? So if everything is started to be recognized unconstitutional, definitely the governance of the country will be coming into the standstill, right? That's the reason why any bill that is proposed by the government, any GO, any notification, any administrative order, whatever it might be, those are subjected to the scrutiny by the Attorney General. So Attorney General being having the status of Supreme Court judge, it means the person who is appointed as Attorney General, he will have to have the qualifications which are supposed to be possessed by the Supreme Court judge, like 10 years practice, at least 5 years experience as a High Court judge, eminent jurist in the opinion of the President. These kind of qualifications must be held by the Attorney General, and with his knowledge he will be able to scrutinize the laws and bills, everything. Okay, and moreover, most of the laws enacted by the Parliament, okay, all are pushed by the government itself. So the majority of the laws enacted by the Parliament are initiated by the government itself. Most of them are public bills. In fact, till today only 14 private bills have been passed by the Parliament. It means in the parliamentary form of democracy, government pushes majority of the legislative agenda. So naturally all these laws are required to be constitutional, and all these laws must be according to the spirit of the constitution, that will be scrutinized by the Attorney General. And apart from that, and Attorney General will also have to scrutinize the laws, whether the laws enacted by the Parliament or to be enacted by the Parliament are consistent with the previous laws or not. For example, Official Secrets Act is there, okay, later Right to Information Act has been brought. Both laws are continuing in the statute book, right? Attorney General has to see that the Right to Information Act as well as the particular Official Secrets Act are consistent with each other. One law shall not be violating the other law or inconsistent with the other law. That integration is possible with the expertise advice of the Attorney General. And moreover, Supreme Court judgments. Supreme Court might have given various judgments on various matters. Supreme Court might have established certain legal principles, okay, for example, reservation policy and etc. So, any certain notification, job notification issued by the government, so whether is it according to the Supreme Court judgments or not, that is also to be scrutinized by the Attorney General, right. And moreover, not only that, Attorney General can also attend the parliamentary proceedings, because Article 88 clearly mentions Attorney General and ministers who are not members, suppose if they are not members of the Parliament, they can go and attend, they can speak, and they can also express their opinion, but without having the right to vote, So, that is the important thing. And even Attorney General has right under Article 105 of the Constitution, that is parliamentary privilege, right. So, whatever the privileges available for the members of Parliament, those are also available to the Attorney General, right. So, suppose if the bill that is tabled, that is introduced in the Parliament, if the members of Parliament raise the question of competency of the Parliament to enact law on that particular subject, if they think that the Union Legislature has no competency to make the laws, if the bill is potentially anti-federal or something like that, the House may call for, or the presiding officer may call for Attorney General to come and enlighten the members regarding the bills, okay. So, this is how. And moreover, who is a major litigant in the courts? Majority of the cases, almost all, more than 50% of the cases which are pending in the Supreme Court and High Courts, those are belonging to the government itself. State is being a major litigant, okay, in the country. So, and moreover, if the state loses the cases in the courts, definitely that is, who is lost? The people of the country are lost, okay. That is why Attorney General will act as the chief law officer, the top law officer for the country. Attorney General can go and attend in front of any court wherever the interest of the government is involved, right. This is how Attorney General plays an important role, right. Moreover, Attorney General will try to promote the concept called as presumption of constitutionality. We will consolidate the principle called as presumption of constitutionality. What is the meaning of presumption of constitutionality? It means whatever the decision, whatever the policy, whatever the rule, regulation, judgment, anything like that which comes from any constitutional body, when it acts within its own sphere, if any decision comes out of that particular organ, is perceived to be constitutional until that particular law or decision or policy is invalidated by other organ of the state. That is what called as presumption of constitutionality. For example, you take Parliament. Parliament enacts the laws within the union list only. Yes, that is number one. Okay. Number two, okay, and Parliament enacted the law following right procedure, due procedure. Due procedure is followed in the enactment of law. Eventually, the bill is converted into act. So, this act is constitutional. Okay. And if this act is to be unconstitutional, if the act is to be violative of the constitution, who has to declare it? Definitely the judiciary has to declare it. Unless the judiciary entertains the petition, unless a person approaches the judiciary, unless the person challenges the validity of this act in the court, till that point of time, the law is constitutional. Okay. So, till the judiciary strikes it down, that law is constitutional. This is what called as presumption of constitutionality. So, it means since the organs of the state are created by the constitution, powers are demarcated by the constitution, they have functioned within the sphere delineated by the constitution. In that sense, the decisions made by various organs of the state still holds to be constitutional unless the other organs of the state strikes it down. That is what called as presumption of constitutionality. How he is strengthening the presumption of constitutionality? Because of his expertise, he is trying to scrutinize the laws which are referred by the government so that they cannot become unconstitutional. Okay, he will be giving such kind of policy advice or legal advice to the government so that government will be foolproof in framing the policies and drafting the bills, right? So this will promote the interest of the people at the larger level. Okay, so this is what the question, right? Then, so sound governance through legal counsel. This is what sound governance through legal counsel. This is how you need to develop the answer. And we need to see in the responsibilities we have written. So the demand, the components which are given in the first paragraph and responsibilities, these are similar. Okay. Now what else? What extra you need to write about limitations? What are the limitations? Okay. So limitations include. Okay. First one. He has no security of tenure because he holds the office during pleasure of the government, pleasure of the president, we can say pleasure of the president. That is number one. Okay. And number two is, okay, the role of AG has not been provided clearly by the constitution, and his role is vulnerable to the whims and fancies of the government. Okay. And sometimes his role comes into conflict with law ministry. Okay, there is a proposal that, right, Attorney General and Law Ministry must be integrated. Okay, so his role comes into conflict with Law Ministry, and he has no role to play with respect to monitoring the prosecutions or the status of investigation done by the government. Okay, this is also very, very important because most of the cases, the investigating agencies or central agencies, whatever the investigations they done, so in most of the cases delays are possible, and thus that is increasing the litigation in the courts. Okay, so that is also one area. So that's why second ARC has recommended a dedicated body called as Directorate of Prosecution must be established. Okay, and not only that, right, so yes, he has no security of tenure, right, and apart from that, Attorney General is expected to follow the ideology of party in power. Right? These are certain criticisms, these are certain limitations with respect to Attorney General. Then in the conclusion, you need to write the points. Okay? Right? So you need to summarize. Right? Thus, Attorney General plays a crucial role in strengthening the governance through his expert legal counsel. Thus highlighting, thus facilitating the consolidation of presumption of constitutionality. However, his office has certain inherent limitations giving rise to the discretion of government to define the utility of his office. Okay, right? So this statement is highlighting the office has a limitation, which have already presented, and this Attorney General office has no independence from the government. So we can also write lack of independence or autonomy. Okay, right? And moreover, it is all depends upon government. Whether a matter can be referred or not. Okay, so this is how we have organized the answer, right? So you just look at, we have written various points in a systematic manner, right? So the question here is Attorney General role. Then we have written what is a introduction, it must be, right? Attorney General is part of Union Executive, appointed under Article 76 of the Constitution, and he helps in executive with his legal expertise, with the extensive knowledge in the field of law. And we have written the points in a proper sense. What is the role played by the Attorney General in scrutinizing the policies, and how does he act as topmost law officer in the country, and what is the impact of his legal advice, and thereafter we have explained what are the limitations for this Attorney General office, right? So eventually the conclusion, okay, right? So this is how we need to write answers, and we will be giving you a schedule on our Telegram channel, right, on which day we are going to come live for the mains answers discussion, right? And we will also be providing the transcript of all these answers in our Telegram channel. Okay, thank you, and try to give your inputs regarding your opinions, your concerns, and even if your difficulties when you are attempting an answer, you are not able to write an answer, you please post such questions also in our Telegram channel, or even in the chat box, so that we will come to know your difficulties, and we will be more proactive in addressing your concerns. Okay, thank you.